This is a QueenB Radio High School Sports Presentation.
The High School Football Roundup Conference Preview Week wraps up today with our first one-on-one with a Great One interview, and I'm excited to chat with our guest today. This man has been the head football coach at Darlington since 2018 and has guided the Redbirds to deep postseason runs over the past few years, reaching level 4 in 2021 and 2022, and the state runner-up finish last year in 2023. Our guest is Travis Winkers. Coach, thanks for joining us. How are you?
Good. Thanks for having me. Thanks for your flexibility with the schedule.
Absolutely, Coach. And before we jump into the success that you've had with the Redbirds over the last couple of years, we like to chat with the coaches about their coaching journey, how they've gotten to this point. So take us through the coaching journey that you've had. You've had a few different stops and have coached multiple sports during your coaching journey. Take us through where it all started and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Yeah, so I grew up in River Ridge, Wisconsin. And I was always big into sports. Our whole family was. So I was playing as many sports as I could. And then when I went to college, I went to UW La Crosse. And I never coached any football in college. I'd come back occasionally and help out Coach Oste in the booth like 2 or 3 times. But that was about it for football. I got lucky enough my sophomore year of college and got to be part of the La Crosse Central boys basketball program. And Todd Fergutt took a chance to let me be a part of it. And it's honestly one of the best things I've ever got to experience. I got to see, for those not familiar with La Crosse Central basketball, it's one of the premier programs in the state, but it wasn't at the time. Todd is actually a small school guy from Edgar, so we kind of joined together right there talking about small school stuff. But then I got to watch how he put a program together in and out from youth stuff, whatever, and how much time he committed, and just learned a ton from that whole experience about how to run a successful program. And ended up getting a teaching job in Markesan after graduating college, late August, and football season already started. So I kind of helped out a little bit that first year. Then I had helped, and then I did 7th grade basketball and helped a little bit with high school boys basketball. Then the next year I helped out more with the football scene. So that was like my first year of truly being on a staff, if you want to say full-time from beginning to end. And then the following summer, the head coach decided to leave during the contact days, took a different job kind of unexpectedly. And there's 4 other of us. We're kind of hemming and hawing about who's going to take it. We ultimately decided I'd take it. And that was on a Friday. And practice started on Monday, handing out equipment.
Wow.
And yeah. And we changed everything, offense, defense. And we had about 24, 25 kids out and 3 seniors. We talked actually 6. We talked 3 other kids coming out, and it was definitely a learning experience. You know, if you would have asked me way back then what I was going to be a coach, I would have told you basketball for sure. And just turned out that it led to football, and I was there for 5 years, and this will be my 7th year now at Darlington.
Yeah, but let's talk about that transition from Markesan to Darlington for a bit. You had a successful run at Markesan, and in fact, you beat Darlington in that Level 1 playoff in 2017, which was your final year there. There was an article on Whisk News that I read where you said that, you know, making that transition from Markesan to Darlington, or making that decision, was one of the toughest decisions you had to make. Take us through that 2-part decision of, 1, leaving a very successful Markesan program, and then 2, accepting that role at Darlington, which is, you know, of course, you know, one of those Mount Rushmore type of schools for high school football in Wisconsin.
Yeah. That article actually made some people in Darlington kind of upset because it made it like I was disparaging Darlington, which wasn't the case, right? Just taking an inferior program. But that wasn't what I was hinting at. The big thing is me and my wife both went to River Ridge. We're both River Ridge graduates. And we were both in our family, the kind of the black sheep of the family that wasn't around the area. We're 3 hours away. So, you know, grandparents and people can't come to Christmas concerts. They can't, you know, we can't see our nieces and nephews play or just hang out. You know, if we want to hang out on a weekend, it's a whole weekend trip, versus now at Darlington, we can go there for an hour, come back. So that was like the big thing behind it. Now, obviously I wanted to coach, and it worked out where Darlington opened up. So that was kind of the reason behind going. But leaving, why it was so tough is because I mentioned that first year we had 24, 25 kids out, and then we got to 30 some. Then last year we were up to 60, and we went from not making playoffs there to making the playoffs first time in a long time, to winning a conference championship in a long time, to winning 2 in a row. And then that last year, getting to level 4 for the first time in school history. And, you know, invest in those kids and they invest in your program. And that's why we do it, and have to look those kids in the eye. And after we're so close, you know, play St. Mary Springs to go to state in a very tight game. And knowing that we had, you know, 4 or 5 sophomores that are starting back, multiple juniors, like we knew we were going to be good the next year, next couple of years. It was, you know, you feel like you're abandoning them. And maybe that's the wrong word, but that's how I felt, because they're an extension of you. I always tell that to our kids, even now they coach. I actually see them just more than I probably see my own kids. So that's what made leaving so tough. And along with some of those coaches that we all started out together as well. I mean, all those connections that you build.
Yep, and when you made that transition to the head coaching role at Darlington, you had to kind of shake things up as far as, you know, putting your own imprint and installing your own, you know, offense and scheme and things like that, where, you know, Darlington at the time was a traditional wing T, but you kind of installed your hook bone, you know, type of offense. Talk about making that change and, you know, trying to make that initial stamp on your program, not once, but twice, you know, what that process looks like, and maybe compare and contrast how those two happened at both Markesan and Darlington.
Yeah. Definitely, you know, we didn't, that first year Markesan didn't make it, and we started getting success, and they hadn't had success there. And we were learning as young coaches and tweaking our offense, tweaking stuff, but we were learning together. And, but the kids knew it because we were invested. So they started buying in more, and they drank the Kool-Aid real easy. You know what I mean? So you kind of come to Darlington, and now wing T, like you said, and everyone in Darlington still wishes we ran the wing T. And even to this day, you know, I think everyone, when are you going to run 124 gut? Well, I said, well, that's just our trap play, but we call it something different. It's literally the same thing, but neither here or there. Even though I was way better of a head coach when I came to Darlington, when I first started at Markesan, it still doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter if Bill Belichick's coming. Kids aren't going to play for you until they know you care. And you got to invest that time in, and that takes time. And then on top of that, we're changing offense. We're changing a complete difference. And it's not just the kids. I'm bringing a whole new coaching staff of adult men that I have to figure out. We have to come together, and we got to believe in each other. And sometimes people have egos or whatever it is. So now you got to figure out who you want on staff, all this stuff. It's a transition period, and it took time. And, you know, I actually thought, you know, maybe me being naive, I thought we'd come in and we would just be like Markesan, because it's Darlington. We're not going to miss a beat. But it took some time. It took some time to get the weight room culture exactly how we wanted it, and the buy-in there. But now we're 7th year, and it's not like, well, back in 1992, this is how we did stuff. And there's still some of that, but our kids don't even know, because they come in 7th, 8th years, the way we train, the way we do stuff. They just used to what we do now, because this is how we do it now.
Right.
And again, it takes time to invest in kids, and they know that you believe in them, and then they'll start drinking the Kool-Aid too.
Yeah, but you touched on this in the previous question, but the family dynamic that you have, you know, being back in the area, you also have, you know, another sibling that's in the head coaching ranks. Wade Winker's the head coach and AD at River Ridge, your alma mater. And, you know, I see Wade, you know, quite a bit in the, you know, games that I've gotten to cover for Darlington. He's there, you know, supporting you and, you know, rooting for your teams and things like that. Talk about that dynamic and, you know, what that dynamic looks like during the season, where, you know, are you guys able to communicate with each other and, you know, kind of bounce some ideas and, you know, thoughts off each other, you know, knowing that sharing the roles of head coach, you know, the different things that come along with it. Are you guys able to bounce some stuff off each other and kind of keep each other sane as the season goes along?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Wade is 7 years older than me, so he kind of had a different role in our family. He's my big brother, but he's also kind of have a father figure type to me, but he's my best friend. So I look up to him as a person. I look up to him as a coach, as an AD, how he's a professional with this stuff. And he's always been a huge supporter of me. Even when I was at Markesan, if they were in the playoffs, he'd drive up to Markesan and be at the games. And then now that I'm back here in Darlington, Ridge has games on Saturdays or wherever it is, so I can get to a game in Peck sometimes for their homecoming game or Blackhawk or whatever it may be, so I can see that. Or we had a Saturday playoff game once, and they played on a Friday, and I can go help him out in the booth that way too. But we don't talk like a ton in season. We'll text, or we'll call late Saturday night or Friday night. But I'm super blessed to be able to bounce ideas off. We run similar offenses. I mean, we run a lot of option. I run a little more power stuff with it. We can bounce scheme stuff. I can say, hey, how do you handle this situation, whether it's scheme or within your program? I can talk to him. I mean, I'm biased here, but I think he's probably the best AD in Southwest Wisconsin, and he's well respected as Six Rivers commissioner, so well organized. And hey, this question is going on with our stuff. How would you handle this? Or, what do you think of this? So I'm very blessed. Hopefully I can give him a little tidbits back, but usually I'm the one that's asking for stuff from him.
Yeah, he's first team all good guy around this area, that's for sure. And let's talk about the success that you've had with the Redbirds program, on the gridiron. Of course, last year your team made it to Madison for the D6 championship game, lost a couple heartbreakers the previous couple years in level 4. And now because of the success that your team has had, you're now going to be playing in Division 5 once the postseason comes around. Again, not sure if that's exactly a reward or a punishment, depending on your perspective, I guess. But when you think about the success that your teams have had during this stretch, what stood out to you the most about the Darlington program and the growth that you've seen from the time that you started the program to where you guys are at now?
Yeah, as far as the D5 thing, sometimes D5 is better, sometimes D6 is better. You don't know. Sometimes there's D7 teams that are better. It's how it works. Every year is year to year. I guess if we keep getting moved up, that's a good thing because that means we're having good seasons.
Right.
But stood out the most, when we started changing, or the weight room obviously changed, was a big thing. We finally getting more buy-in, like consistent buy-in from everyone. I read an article way back. When I first started from John Hoke, I've took so much stuff from at Lancaster, and it was in the WFCA magazine. Their newsletter used to send out. It talked about his teams that were 80% lifters. If seniors were 80% lifters over 4 years, they were either at state semis or state. Never promised a state championship or anything like that, but that's just how it worked out with his teams. So I tried to instill that and talk about that. Now I've been lucky enough to have 4 groups of seniors that have been under me. Well, Markesan, that 1-4 group, and then here 3 times that have done that, either been state semis or state, which I always try to tell people, like level 4, I'm like, that's state in basketball or baseball. You know what I mean? It's a big deal. So that was one big, really, I think changed it is we started getting kids that were just selfless. We move kids around. I go 3 years ago at East Nemenstad, one of the best players I probably ever coached offensively. And that year he did 1,200 yards, a quarterback at 1,000 yards rushing. We had another guy 900 and 700. We almost had 4 guys with 1,000. And Easton wasn't even all region. And if I wanted to feed him the ball like other kids did, he would have had over 2,000 yards rushing. And never once did Easton whine or give me a boo or complain. Never once did his parents ever say, oh, my son should be getting the ball more. That started setting the tone, and then that's carried over. Last year, we got, a couple Ross Chris, some of our best players that were fullbacks years before, and like on the level 4 teams, and they went to line. So to have guys that just say we want to win and we're going to compete and help the team out, and when your better players are doing that, it trickles down to everyone else. So I would say the weight room and that that selflessness from our players is, I think, kind of the things that started turning it around for us.
Yeah, let's take a look at this year's team and the path that your team has ahead of them. Looking at your schedule, my goodness, is it loaded with some really, really tough games. Of course, you got the Swallow opponents. Mineral Point played you guys tough twice last year, once in the regular season and, of course, in level 2. Cuba City, very senior heavy this year. I think they have like 25 seniors or something like that coming back this year. Belleville's expected to have a pretty deep team. And then, of course, you've got, Fenimore, looking to continue building that program under Coach Rosemeyer. But looking at the non-conference opponents, Platteville, the reigning SWC champions, Prairie du Chien, the only team that beat you guys during the regular season last year. They're going to be a tough out for anybody. And then there was the gap in the schedule left by Abundant Life St. Ambrose. And what do you guys do? You schedule Lodi, the reigning Division 4 state champions, on your schedule. So obviously you guys aren't afraid of competition, but with that in mind and seeing what that path looks like, what are the expectations that you have for your team this season?
Yeah, I'm not one of those coaches, or we are not one of those staffs that shy away from stuff. We started that way back in Markesan when we hey, we want to get better. We got to play good teams. We scheduled St. Mary Springs up there. Down here, we had St. Mary Springs for a while. We just feel even if we lose the game, it's going to make us better come playoffs. We really do, especially early games when we could play really good teams. we're unsure about kids, and it exposes our weaknesses real fast. And like, all right, we need to fix this as a staff. We need to fix this personnel, whatever it is. So Platteville's going to be really good. I know Coach Arneson's very high on his team. Prairie's got one of the best players in Blake Theory, so they're going to be good. You talked about Cuba City, and I'm always envious of Coach Kopp because, like you said, he seems like he always has 20-some kids out.
Yeah.
I think in my 11 years I've had, or 20-some seniors, I mean.
Yeah.
My 11 years head coach, I think I've only been over 10 seniors twice, so it seems like he's in that, and I'm like, whatever he's doing, he just needs to let me in on that secret a little bit. Belleville will be better. I think our conference overall will be better. Coach Leonard does a great job at point of scheming stuff up against our offense, against options in general. Does a good job against Ridge, and Wade does a good job against Lancaster. And then he mentioned Lodi. And again, it was one of those things, our conference, there's a conference in Illinois that dropped a team, so the SWAL and them were kind of in talks of just having like a crossover. Well, ours was going against an 0-9, 1-8 team, and I just told our AD, I'm like, I don't want to have to play that. I want to play someone good, And
right.
As soon as I saw Lodi open, I texted their coach, their former coach, Coach Pulls, and like, hey, is this, because he retired, is chance we could bet this? And we got it for 2 years. And even if we weren't as good next year, like, we're still going to play them, because I know there's some programs that are like, we're not going to be as good next year, so we got to take this team off the schedule. No, I'm all about playing the best we can play because it's going to help us for playoffs. So to answer that question, then our expectations, we lost a lot of seniors, not going to lie, some really, really good players, the reason for the success factor, they've been starting for us as sophomores. But we have a lot of seniors that have been working hard in our weight room that, maybe didn't play much last year. It's their time to step up and carry the brand of Darlington football. We expect to compete for a SWAL title, and we expect what we're doing in the regular season to get us ready for hopefully another deep playoff run, and even if it's D5, that's kind of what we expect. But we got to be healthy. Like, everyone needs some luck along the way as well. So that's where we're at in 2024.
Yeah, but we're looking forward to seeing how the journey looks for Darlington football this year. Our football season kicks off in Darlington next Friday, August 23rd, with Platteville heading to Martinsfield to take on the Redbirds. Our pregame coverage set for 1:40 and kickoff at 2 o'clock on Extreme 107.1 and X1071.com. Coach, thanks again for joining us, and good luck to you and your Redbirds this season.
Awesome. Thank you, Tyler.
Yep, that's Travis Winkers, head football coach of the Darlington High School, and that wraps up our conference preview week for the high school football roundup. Weekly episodes begin Thursday, August 29th. Subscribe to the QueenB Radio Sports YouTube channel to get notified of new episodes and the video streams of the games that we will be covering throughout the season. My name is Tyler Diktanas, and thank you for watching.